Despite facing an economic crunch, the government has just announced a 20% increase in defence spending, while slashing overall expenditure by about 7%. Let's dive into what's behind these numbers, what it means for Pakistan's priorities, and how this compares with regional trends. Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb presented the fiscal 2025-26 budget in Parliament on June 10, 2025. A defence outlay jumps to 2.55 trillion rupees, USD 9 billion, a roughly 20% increase from the previous year's 2.12 trillion. Yes, the overall federal budget shrinks by 7%, down to about 17.57 trillion rupees, about USD 62 billion. Budget boost comes just weeks after the worst fighting in nearly 3 decades with India, involving missile, drone and jet skirmishes in May 2025. Now, the Pakistani rhetoric frames it as defence modernisation after successfully defeating India in conventional war, a narrative widely supported in Islamabad. While analysts note China's role. Islamabad reportedly in negotiations to acquire 40 J-35 stealth jets and enhanced air defence tech. Whereas budget holes are patched by cutting public subsidies, trimming non-defence spending, and expecting lower interest payments, thanks to the central bank's policy rate cut from 22% to 11%. Pakistan is under an IMF stabilisation programme at USD 7 billion, pushing for deficit reduction from 5.9% to 3.9% of GDP and broader fiscal discipline. With a 7% spending cut, sectors like education, health, agriculture and climate are greatly affected. Defence clauses account for more funding than these entire sectors combined. The critics argue this may undermine long-term development, negating growth aspirations. The budget tries to offset by projecting GDP growth rising from 2.7% this year to 4.2% next year, driven by reforms, tax base broadening and key privatisations. India, Pakistan's rival, increased its defence spending by around 9.5%, reaching about USD 78 to 80 billion, nearly 9 times Pakistan's defence figure. While in share of GDP, Pakistan's defence, including pensions, will amount to 2.5% of GDP, closely matching India's share. Now, despite bridging the gap in growth rate, Pakistan's defence budget remains significantly smaller in absolute terms. Several experts caution that while defence investments can improve military posture, neglecting education and health could impede long-term resilience. And the government emphasises efficiency and modernisation, not just higher expenditure, calling for spending wisely. Jan Sukru Kumara et al. Point out that budget cuts to subsidies and interest payments leave limited space for pro-poor interventions. Pakistan is militarising fiscal policy, reprioritising defence amid geopolitical risk after conflict with India. The tough economic backdrop, high debt, IMF dependence, inflation pressures, adds complexity to balancing military readiness with social needs. The ultimate balance lies in smart budgeting. Modernise military, yes, but not at the expense of building future human and infrastructure capacity. The plus 20% defence bump reflects a strategic recalibration after hostilities in May. The success of this approach hinges on whether Pakistan can finesse its growth through fiscal reforms, efficiency, and targeted social investments, while preserving robust security capability. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Pakistan's budget strikes the right balance? Hit like, subscribe, and share for more timely breakdowns on global budgets and geopolitics. See you next time.